Howdy folks, Dave Yauk here again today. This is session 3, documenting the starting process with smoke. Now I promised not to do anything off camera, but I kind of forgot to start the camera this morning, and I've already sprayed him with the hose. I wished I'd videoed that so you could compare it to yesterday. He didn't completely stand still for it, but I think part of the reason was when I spray his butt on the full mode, that he's being stimulated to walk forward. He wasn't running forward out of panic, and I could actually use the spray on his front feet to stop him from doing that. So, and I've already scraped the water off of him. So we're going to pick this up more or less where we left off. Now I do want to pick up his feet again today, because I was very well. I got to work on those every day, a little bit of time. And then I'm going to start working with him the saddle. So yesterday he had a unique problem with me that I've not had before, which is I could completely sack him out with a blanket, and he didn't care, slapping him with it, but he wouldn't let me. I could throw a saddle on, but he'd take off. He wouldn't stand still for that. It was a little weird. And at first I thought it was just all the stuff associated with a Western saddle and maybe even the weight. But I threw my little English saddle on him, and he did exactly the same thing. So we'll start with the feet. Hey, come on back over near the camera, honey. Come on. Good boy. And you can see this morning I'm not going to put a halter and lead line on him. One of the things my mentor taught me long ago was don't test a horse. Why? If you test a horse, there's pass or fail. Do you really want your horse to fail? If you don't want him to fail, why test him? Well, I kind of give him a test. I'll say more of a progress test than anything else. I don't want him to fail either, but what I am going to do is go without a halter and lead line to see how he does with me picking up his feet and whether he has an overwhelming desire to walk off. And hope. Excuse you. So one of the things I'm noting today is he's not being moved around easily with hand signals. He needs the lariat, which implies our relationship is not what I want it to be in the final end game yet. He's still got this piece he's reserving of himself, and I suspect. I mentioned I met his sister. She went home and he came here, and she was a heck of a horse, a lot of heart, a lot of opinion, and it might be bred into their line to have high opinions of themselves. Which, if you have a cow horse, you want that. I mean, you want a very secure horse that knows who they are, and when you put them on a big old bull or steer or something, that they can go, yeah, no fella, I'm in charge of this scenario right here. Good. I'm going to stand here for just a second before I give him an actual cue. I want to give him a chance to ask the question, what does Dave want? And he asked the question himself with no cue and said, Dave wants my foot. Again, that is the single most important question I want a horse to ask, that I want to stimulate, is what does Dave want me to do now for him? Getting out of their own head, worrying about themselves and what they need and want, and instead asking the question, what does Dave want? I want to get out of my head and get into him, forget what's going on in my life, my hopes, my fears, whatever, forget everything except what's in his head, in order to ask him to do the same with me, to get out of his head, so that we can eventually be together. This is very nice. He's having a tendency, a little reaction on this front foot to pull it up and protect himself with it. And he's moving it around to see if I'll let go. I'm not going to. Not yet, at least. I'll let go when he quits. He has quit. And then he started again. I'm going to wait till he quits. And put it down because he did. Hey, don't do that. Thank you. I'm going to stare at this hind foot and see if he's going to pick it up on his own. And he does. Oh, he walked off. Excuse you. Hey. Thank you. Good job right there. Let's try that again. I actually cued him right there. Nope. Good job. Good job. Good boy. Again, I want to apply active and passive leadership simultaneously, which is with the nope was a command with consequences. And then good boy follows that. Trying to put that foot down for him. He doesn't understand that. He feels constrained by my hands. And there he goes. And there we go. Good job. Because that was a good job, I'm going to give him a moment of peace with me here. I want to constantly make that peace more and more powerful. The only way you can do that is offer it more and for the right times and the right reasons. And he's goofing with my hat again. Kind of like this guy. Standard gelding, right? I just want to play. Oh, and he's 3, so. I think I'm going to wait for him to dry off a little more before I fly spray or not. Wow, you're drying off pretty fast. Okay, I'm expecting, based on yesterday, that he's not going to want to stand still without a halter, but I'm going to interview him first and rub the bottle on him. Oh, by the way, I'll be talking off camera every once in a while. I have a person watching me work today, Angie. I meant to ask, did you get a chance to look at the trailer loading videos? No, okay. Well, yesterday, I had, on the very first session, I had kind of interviewed him and tried to lead him in, and he said, no, not doing that. And so he refused. Yesterday, there was some nice shade there, and every once in a while he'd go over there and put his head in and stand there. And at one point I saw him starting to pick up a foot. There was a little hay on the floor in there, and he was trying to reach it. So I decided, what the heck, I came up behind him and added a little energy, and he stepped right in. He did that twice. The second time I had to really mess with him a lot more. But it's when all else fails, this is always my... Yeah, well... So... Kindness in life is not always the best thing to build character. I'm not saying I don't want to be kind when I can, but I do need to let a horse get bit by a fly and let him tolerate the pain. If I'm on him and there's a horse fly in his groin, he's got to weigh that. Oh man, does that really hurt? But Mr. Dave's on my back. And what I want from my horse is I want him to tell me, dude, there's a fly in my groin. Now, there's not a lot I can do from his back, but I might get off him and go in there and go after it. Or there's not a lot you can do unless you're carrying wipes with you in the saddle or whatever. But my point is, I do want my horses to be toughened up. I've heard so many stories with thin-skinned horses and people getting hurt when a fly lands on them. So I don't want thin-skinned horses, but that doesn't mean I also don't want to respect them. So I have these mixed feelings that, and so one of the things you can see is normally he likes to be with me and he follows me around, but he's not right now because I'm carrying a bottle. So I'm going to cut him off over here. And then rub this on him. While I'm rubbing, I'm going to put a spray on. I got one spray on his rump. He took off, but it didn't work to stop me from fly spraying him. So I'm going to come up here one more time, rub the bottle on him, spray his ears. By cutting him off and staring him in his eyes, I'm telling him I don't want you to move. He's moving on his own because he doesn't like what's going on. Now I want to give him a mini little break and set that down. Good. So he can learn from that experience and think about it and go, oh, he sprayed me, I moved, he sprayed me anyhow, I didn't stop it. Moving doesn't work. Now moving gets away from me, but since it's a round pen, not for very long. And there's the opinion expressed right there of we don't have the relationship you think we have or you want us to have yet. And you know, some of the horses I get here have never had an effective relationship with a human in their lives. And sometimes they're not 3. Sometimes they're a lot older. There's a lot of horses I've met that have never realized a human ever heard them. So it's important that you listen to your horse and you show them you're listening. Good. 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 This time I'm actually going to put my hand on his bridge of his nose, give him a little hint. He knows I'm going to do that. He didn't accept it as a kind move, but I've got a bottle in my hand, so I'm going to be persistent. And this is the beauty of a round pen. Horse tries to flee from you and they can't. You have to be careful running next to a horse like this right here. How do I know that? A horse taught me. If they feel like you're threatening in any way or have something threatening in your hand and you run next to them, that extra energy, they're emotional and they're not thinking their best, they're likely to love tap you right there. Except you're not going to feel any of the love. Good. 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 Yes, I know I still have this bottle. Yes, I've been mugging you. Good. Good. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Good. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Best thing I could do when he stops right there is walk away. But I'm waiting for an acknowledgement from him first. Like that. Good. What I was waiting for was him to look at me and maybe or turn his head toward me. He was in himself, being defensive. He wasn't moving, but I wanted that extra step of, what do you want? Of getting out of his head and getting into my head. So I waited for that to happen. You got to spend a lot of time waiting sometimes. And we'll wait again for him to acknowledge me and get out of his own head. Right there. Good job. Yes. Where are you going? Thank you. Good. 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 I'm going to call that good enough for now. You know, sometimes you want to do things in repetitions, get a little done, come back to it. Now, I haven't sent him around at all with my lariat and turned him, which is always, it's kind of like lunging your horse. When I do it, I'm not after the physical, I'm after the mental and emotional. Most folks I see lunging horses, they're not always sure why they're doing it. They just know you should do that. They don't know why. Most of the time they're working the physical and all they're really doing is tiring their horse out. It's like, do you really want to tire your horse out before you get on and work him? I mean, my main reason is mental and emotional in the head. That's the main reason to lunge horses, unless you are conditioning. I mean, if you're truly conditioning, intent on conditioning your horse. But frankly, the best conditioning is with you on them. I mean, you're with them. They're on the end of a lunge line. Why don't you just tack that horse up and get on it if you want to condition it? Ah, that's the first time that's happened. Interesting. That was the response he had yesterday from me throwing a saddle on. And he never demonstrated that with a blanket before. That was a little weird. How many times I've thrown that at him. Now, I'm going to remind y'all, 5 phases to horse learning. I got it, I don't have it, I got it again. I really don't have it, and I hate you. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I've got it forever. So 2 periods of regression. As we work him, we should see some regression. Now, usually the regression goes back to prior behavior. In this case, he regressed and showed me something he'd never shown me. But there's a chance he's getting more familiar enough with me that he's been really stoic and hiding his true feelings from me, even though he's at liberty. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so one of the things he's telling me, I mentioned I haven't worked his feet, I haven't worked our relationship yet, and I wanted to see, can I do this without doing that? Where are we? And he's been hinting already that we're not where I want him to be in terms of our relationship. So, how do you enhance your relationship? How do you get it in the first place? Move their feet, offer active leadership simultaneously with passive leadership. And we'll see how good his left turns are today. He's been not liking left turns. I studied some of my videos last night and found out the camera's kind of too far. I tried to zoom in and put it in slow-mo, and the angles are bad and too many pipes and things in the way. But yesterday I saw some counter-cantering, I saw some cross-firing, and it appears to be perhaps either something stuck or weakness in his left rear. Now, keeping in mind, I didn't mention this yesterday, but horses are diagonally oriented, so if I think there's something wrong in the left rear, it could be his right shoulder or right side of his neck low down. It also can be in his mouth. Everything in the mouth affects performance and movement of the horse. I don't know if he's ever had his teeth looked at. I went in there, he's still got at least 4 or 5 or 6 baby teeth, but everything looks okay. I didn't see any retained caps in the front, but he should have mostly adult premolars at this point, and there's a chance he's got a retained cap on one side in the back. I mean, you can't go in there with fingers without a speculum. So those are things to file away and think about. that it might not be a hip problem. That's where he's showing it. Now, right now, for example, he's tracking up really good, evenly on both sides, where his rear feet are stepping into the hole of his front foot, where his front foot lifts up on the ground. And he just looked in the trailer again, so I gave him a quick little release. So there's also a possibility, like I said, that his hip problem is something going on in his mouth. Good job. There was no attempt anywhere in there to turn toward me that time. So definitely an improvement from yesterday. But he does. Oh, now that's weird. Heretofore, he hates going to the right, and he is trotting to the right, you'll notice, which normally means there's more anxiety with him moving to the right for whatever reason. But he just volunteered to go to the right, which is unusual because he usually hates going to the right. Good, good, good. Turn. And he just turned to the right on his own again. Weird. Ah, ah, ah. Good. He didn't turn into me. Huh. He just did the typical youngster pop his front end up so he can step into a gate. He deliberately got the weight off his front feet. He popped his shoulders up. It's more prevalent in gaited horses. It's but you know, any young horse that doesn't have the strength they need, he did a little kip maneuver to throw his shoulders up in the air so he could engage his hind end. Again, he's trotting on his own. Now I just backed away from him to see if he would slow down, and it did, but now he's yawning. Because he's yawning, I'm going to quit for a second. What's going on? I don't like the classroom. Okay, so he's showing me he's had some built-up anxiety here up to this point. I've thrown a lot at him already. Sprayed him with a hose, picked up his feet, slapped him with a blanket that he didn't like. He had to run away. Good. So what I am seeing is a little inconsistency from him today based on session 1 and 2. That's okay. It's at the beginning, and I don't know everything about this horse yet. He isn't showing me everything. And as I mentioned, there's a chance he's been stoic with me. As he gets to know me and we start building mutual respect and trust, he's going to become less stoic and show me how he really feels about things. Do you want to get in that trailer? No. Okay. Excuse me. I'm not asking you to turn. Thank you. Not asking for a turn. There was another good example of him popping up his shoulders to step into a trot. There, good. He's got a lot of anxiety today. Ah, 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 ah. So I feel a lot of regression, especially regarding our relationship. Instead of improving, it's a little deteriorated. That's okay. This is a process. It's a journey. We're just going on down a road, visiting different villages and stuff. Sometimes we turn around and go back to the village we were in before, yesterday. Good. Good. That's all you need to do. Good. So I'm going to increase my distance to him and see if that helps his anxiety, gets him to stop his trotting. But you got to keep moving, son. Thank you. Now, curiously, as I try and get away from him, he's cutting off the other side of the round pen. So my backing away from him to increase the distance isn't working to increase the distance. Like right here, he's cutting across. He's saying, "Can you just put me away, please? I don't want to do this stuff." So what I think I'm going to do is deliberately raise his anxiety and do some trot and canter work in order to let him come down from that, so I can show him the difference between high and low anxiety and offer him the choice. Would you rather have high anxiety or low anxiety? And let him learn, well, that feels a lot better down there, doesn't it? Yes, good, good, good. Excuse you. Oh, overwhelming desire to push that boy in that trailer. But because he's volunteering, I don't want to turn his volunteer into something I forced. I would like him to volunteer, just step right in that trailer since the door's open. Nope. Thank you. And trot. So yesterday I had trouble going this way. And there he is counter cantering again. And he just switched leads. But how's his movement look to you? Does it look normal in that canter?
Looks pretty good from here.
Okay. Huh. Huh? I can't identify what I don't like. Something is bothering me. Something doesn't look right. I thought yesterday it was his left rear, but in that canter, after he did his own lead change on the correct right lead for turning to the right like that, when he's on his diagonal pair, his right rear was, when it was coming down with his left front, was looking weak. There's a chance he's overall weak in the rear end. Matter of fact, I did note yesterday that he's got a sore back in the way that what I've learned and been taught is where he's sore in his back is often associated with the psoas muscles soreness or strain, and if you release those, there's actually a stretching exercise called the psoas release that I recently learned. Thank you, Jen. That can relieve that. So I'm going to go ahead and palpate his back, and right there, I don't know if you can see his back dip right there, and that is the typical spot that is caused by his psoas muscles, which are inside, and you have to Anyhow, I won't get into all that, but there's a possibility that that's affecting both hind legs. I mean, I don't know. I do have an osteo appointment for him in a week and a half, so Callie will fix that right up. And trot. And trot. Good. Good job right there. That was good one. I think every once in a while you move, he startles.
Well, I did
Oh,
thing and he startled for that. But he actually reacted from his left side. Remember when you were throwing the blanket? It's on the left. And he also, when you were closing him down, he didn't want to go to the left. But that's on his left side.
I think you mean his offside.
Hold on. So he was his right side.
Yeah. So we use near side and offside, so we don't confuse the lefts and rights like that.
Okay. So when he's facing
The near side is the side we mount from you traditionally, and the other side is called the offside.
okay, so the opposite.
So offside, yes, I completely agree.
Which is very sensitive. And he was actually, when you were spraying him,
Yeah.
he didn't want you to go there.
Right. I saw that. Good, good. Okay. Very nice. As far as I could tell yesterday, though, when I palpate his back, it seems to be the same amount of soreness on each side. Because after I found out it was sore, I did one thumb on each side and they seem to respond the same. Which is pretty common if it's associated with one or both of the psoas muscles that need to be released. Good, good, good. Okay, I want to do a little more. I want to do some leads, both direction, canters, and some turns at the canter, and get that brain working even when you have anxiety. You got to think even when you got anxiety, honey. Oh, you got worry eyes. I'm sorry. You're at school now. I need to get you at least 1 degree. Not that way. Not that way. Thank you. Good. Good. And trot. Keep it up. Thank you. Need to see it. Need the left lead. Ah. There you go. See that left leg right there? Oh. Okay. I saw, well, maybe because the left leg was on my side. As he slowed down, yesterday when he started to slow down, he actually switched his lead in the back and started cross-firing.
Canter him clockwise. Is it easier to canter?
Before today, it was harder clockwise.
I wonder how is it today?
And it almost seems opposite today.
If it's easier today, that means it's right behind the brother.
Well, I know, but yesterday it was harder to go to the right. That's why I thought it was the left hind. Could be both hinds. Yeah, exactly. But I have an appointment to sort that out. Let's see that some more. See right there? You see he was crossfiring? He had the correct lead in the front, but the back end had the wrong lead. Let's try it again. There we go. Do you see that left lead? How stiff it is? To me, okay, let's try the other way. There's counter canter. That's a good canter. That looked normal. Huh? Yeah, that was actually his best canter. And that's funny because yesterday was the exact opposite. He was almost struggling to canter on his right lead at all yesterday, even going to the right. Huh. Well, today's Tuesday. A week next Thursday, I got osteo coming to, or I actually have to take him to them, and they'll look at everything and fix it out. And what I'm asking myself is how much should I do or not do between now and then? Whether just leave him be. Thursday, my farrier is coming, and I was hoping to put shoes on him, so I could just switch to stand for the farrier lessons, and not even. But I kind of want to keep working with putting the saddle on him. The weight of a saddle should not affect him at all. What I don't want to probably do is work him too much. I don't want him running around in a lot of circles, which I don't do that anyhow, but I don't think I'm going to get on him. But I think I can continue to desensitize him to the saddle because he's got issues with the blanket in the saddle. There's no reason I can't get that fixed between now and then. The question is, do I want to push you back into that canter? I've had horses here, especially young horses, that just haven't done very much. And as I begin to work them, it's like physical therapy, and things free themselves up.
It could be also sore from the workout too.
The workout?
I mean,
my workout has been mostly brain, hardly no body.
I know, but sometimes it's more than they really do.
No.
Like maybe the muscles that they normally don't use, they finally get used for first.
But if you see my training paddock up there, it's a big hill. The water's down below. The hay's up above. He's got to go up and down that hill. And most horses, that's their physical therapy in between the workouts down here, where it gets the blood flowing. It actually works the pain and discomfort and lactic acid out. So most horses, that hill takes care of it. Now, the reason I know about this psoas release, I had a gelding here. He left maybe 3 weeks ago. And he was sore. He had the same soreness in the same place. And I thought it was just for me riding him. I was trail riding him and stuff. And discovered the soreness. I think actually his owner discovered the soreness one day. And she's also a body worker. Oh, Jen.
I know.
You know Jen. I think Jen discovered it herself. Yeah. And so I gave him 10 days off, and I did some backing up hills and a few other things that usually help a sore back. And it stayed exactly the same, didn't get better, didn't get worse. And so we made an osteo appointment, and they found the psoases were bound up, and they released them. And when he came back to me at the end of the day after that treatment, no sore back. Mm-hmm. You could run your fingers down there, and there was no soreness whatsoever. And she showed me the releases that they did. And so... I kind of have a funny feeling it looks exactly the same, and that no matter how much time I gave him or physical effort I put into him, without actually doing the stretches that release those. And it takes two people.
Yes, on each side to push on the. Yeah, we can do it.
I don't know how to do it yet. I'm not. You know, I have to believe I'm qualified before I'm going to do something, especially to somebody else's horse, and I do not believe I'm qualified yet to do that. My approach is to practice on my own horses if there's something I think I might want to do to client horses. So, and there's nothing wrong with doing those release stretches on horses that don't need it, but who knows, they don't. It's probably good for everybody. Okay, so I think I'm going to play with him with the blanket and the saddles and continue this little interview. Oops, better reset the camera. And sorry you're getting to hear this extra discussion, folks. So that was part 1 of session 3. We'll reset the camera for part 2. Oh, 40 minutes.